Hi there.
Hey.
Cool. Welcome. I'm just going to assume it begins, and this is it. Welcome to our Ask Them Anything here at Consensus Distributed on CoinDesk. I'm Pete Paschal, executive editor of CoinDesk, and I am here today talking to the Chainsmokers. That's Alex-pall. Paul, sorry, Alex.
All good.
Drew-taggart, as well as Milan Koch, managing partner at Mantis, and I think it was Alyse here as well. She was supposed to be.
No, Alyse won't be in this one.
She won't be in this one. Okay, cool. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Stranded at home, but it could be worse.
Cool. So I know you're just hot off your session, talking a bit about YellowHeart. I'm here to take questions from our online audience and relay them to our fabulous guests here. If you're watching and you have a question, please drop it in the Q&A umbrella. That's like the middle tab on the video embed, I believe. But like I said, my guest just finished talking about YellowHeart on the CoinDesk TV channel. You know, YellowHeart is a blockchain ticket sales platform that, among other things, aims to cut scalpers out of the experience. So I imagine you're probably going to want to ask about that, but maybe not, because hey, just ask them anything. So thought I'd start by kicking off with kind of an easy one. Is the service still on track for a Q2 2020 launch, which I think was what it was announced
for the YellowHeart? Yeah, I mean, obviously right now it's kind of dependent on some live shows coming back. That's not to say that this technology can't be used for all sorts of different events, whether they're virtual or not. But I think our plan was to start beta testing in smaller venues, which we had done prior to the pandemic. So right now we're just continuing to develop the technology to make it better, as we already had a number of ideas of how to improve it over the course of the last couple of months. So we're just taking that time to do that, and then we're excited to get back out there and get it going. So it's kind of spread awareness and continue to perfecting the platform.
Nice. I'll cut to the audience questions in a bit. We've already got a few, but I'm curious, what were some of the new ideas you had? How did the beta testing go? How have you iterated so far?
Yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of it had to do with the user experience at shows. That could be buying merch from your seats, which we thought was a really interesting idea. Also, the secondary market aspect of selling your ticket through YellowHeart was something that we were interested in doing. Originally, it was the blockchain was created to always keep track record of the ticket and make sure that the money's distributed to the fan, to the artist, and to the promoter in whatever way we saw fit. But then we were also like, let's create a secondary market platform within YellowHeart that you can actually sell your ticket on. So we've been working on that. And those are just a few of the things. I mean, it goes beyond we can, the artist backstage could send a video to everyone who's bought a ticket on their phones at will, telling them the show's starting. There's lots of cool things. I mean, this platform, ticketing hasn't been updated since 1987, which is what Ticketmaster was created on. So you can imagine the advances we're making right now.
Nice. What do you think mass adoption looks like for this platform, and sort of what has to happen to get there?
Yeah, I think it's going to start with, it's going to happen, blockchain being integrated in the ticketing industry. And it has to start by us being able to ticket smaller shows and prove that this platform can work. We can't say who it is, but we have a major power in the ticketing industry that is an investor in YellowHeart. And, what we need to start doing is running tickets and showing people that this is a better experience. And, the interest has been palpable, and people are very excited about this. It's once you see this platform, it's very obvious that this is a better model to buy tickets on. But this is getting our next steps are running small shows and working out all the kinks, and then getting people, and then just getting more shows and artists down with the platform and start running tickets on it.
Yeah, I think just to add to that quickly, I think one thing that's funny is that, and this was the same thing for us as we become more intelligent when it comes to blockchain, is that you think that you're not gonna have to buy tickets with Bitcoin, although you can. This is like a user-friendly device that is running on a network that is incredibly powerful, and that's all you need to know, and everything else is just seamless, how you would do it normally.
Right. So like in the AMA or the panel that we were just on, the main focus was our fund, Mantis, which focuses consumer tech, media and entertainment, fintech, and blockchain companies that are integrating blockchain to make their industries better and disrupt them. But I mean, YellowHeart is one of the examples, that kind of led us to that thesis.
Cool. Question for the audience. Kind of your comments lead naturally right into it. Do you think the best way towards crypto mass adoption is to have people use it without actually knowing it?
I think, well, actually, Milan, you want to speak a little bit about that, and then I'll give you my opinions about how we see it assimilating into companies like YellowHeart and whatnot.
Yeah, totally. So I think, from a mass adoption standpoint, if you look at, I gave that example on the talk earlier, but if you look at Instagram, for instance, or Uber or Airbnb, any revolutionary new apps or services, no one really cares about the underlying technology, right? Like everyone just cares about, well, this is something that, significantly improves my life or enables me to do something that I wasn't able to do before. No one really asks what database it's running on. No one asks about the tech stack. And I think right now we're, from a blockchain standpoint, we're just at a phase where the infrastructure is ready for mass adoption. And now we got to build, the application layer, and we got to ship products that, where we can utilize this technology to bring it to millions and millions of people, right? And I think now is the time where we have these opportunities, and we are starting to see some of these. And if you look at a few of our past investments and companies that Drew and Alex have worked with, no one really needs to care about the tech too much, and we can literally just use it, and it's seamless, and yeah, it's being adopted, and that's how I see the adoption is going to go.
Right. Like with YellowHeart, we don't lead with, this is a blockchain ticketing company. We lead with, this is a ticketing platform that is just better. It works better. It's better for the artist, the promoter, and the fan especially. For example, our tickets, our Chainsmokers tickets will be sold for $100, and our true fans won't get them until they've been marked up in the secondary ticketing market to about $300. And that $200 difference goes to a scalper. It doesn't go to anyone who's putting on the show, either the artist or the promoter, and it's a way jacked up price for the fan. So, blockchain, as I'm assuming most people that are on this understand how it works, adds transparency, lets us control the ticket, lets us, if it's going to be resold, how many times it can be resold. If it is resold for more money, where does that money go? Is there a fee that goes to the promoter or to the artist or to charity or to, where else? It also gives us all this data of like which fans are coming to our shows. There's like a plethora of information and benefits to using blockchain.
That's a lot of stuff, a lot of features. It's great. What do you think is the killer app? Like, what's the thing that's going to make this thing like people are like, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? Is it like the maximum resale price?
All of that stuff is kind of back end stuff. It's stuff that we don't. That's for the people who are using the technology on the back end to the promoter to know about. But the person who's going to buy a ticket, they don't, like Alex was saying earlier, they're like, well, I don't own any cryptocurrency, so it's blockchain, so I can't use this. We are really focusing at Mantis on finding companies that are taking this frontier technology, integrating in a way that no one has any idea that it runs on blockchain. It just does, and that's why it runs better. But for the consumer experience, they don't know the difference other than, holy shit, this works better.
Nice. Question from the audience. What's your vision on selling shares of ownership on new tracks as a way to fundraise to create new music?
Ooh, interesting. It's not something that I've seen traditionally done, but I think it's a really interesting idea to kind of look to your fans for help. I feel like now in the pandemic, funny enough, you kind of see that in different ways with like artists putting on concerts, from their homes and asking for fans to donate money to kind of continue being artists. I think, any musician, artist would agree that having the freedom to do what you want and carry out your vision is the most important thing. And I feel like, having fans support that would be kind of amazing. And especially to see them partake in potentially the success of your brand. And I feel like only a platform, a engine like blockchain could kind of achieve that goal by, organizing the chaos that is the music business, royalties and sound scan and, and events. So that I think that's, a really interesting prospect. And, you look at things like SoundCloud, which revolutionized the music industry and for us as artists. So you can't take things like that with a grain of salt because, it could be one of those game-changing features.
Right. Just to add to that too, I mean, we're a big fan of tipping culture, and companies that are integrating tipping culture. I mean, we're starting to see it happen all the time in more mainstream platforms, but that's another thing that we're looking out for, people that understand that that may be the future of payment. Instead of relying on royalties, it might be, can I make something that people believe in enough and they can pay me whatever they want to pay me to support me? I think that, everyone's starting to see that that is a big potential form of revenue in the future. So we're really looking for companies at Mantis that integrate that.
So another question, smart contracts for the music industry. Do you think it will be adopted by Spotify and other streaming platforms, or will there be an alternative to them? I think he's talking sort of both about YellowHeart and the idea more broadly.
I think that, it's tough. The music business as a whole is very, very old school. I think if you looked at Spotify, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, what they were doing was like anyone, the labels were trying to fight that, you know what I mean? They were not a fan of what Spotify was doing to the music business. But in turn, Spotify has created an incredible amount of streaming and a lot more revenue for the music business year on year. The music business was going down, and since then it's been on a steady incline. So I think that with music rights and blockchain, I think, it's a scary thought for a lot of people, but it's just, you can't fight the future. And a lot of the times these solutions to that, lead to a lot more clarity, a lot more revenue, and potentially a lot more, interest from artists to participate as musicians, because, the starving artist is a, an old adage.
Can't fight the future. Are you an X-Files fan?
Yeah, I am actually.
Nice. There have been a lot of music and blockchain startups. There was obviously a lot with the whole, a couple of years ago. Some have come and gone. But what do you think sets yours apart? Obviously you're not first company to try something like this.
To be honest, it's our network and our tech. I don't want to get too much into our tech, but I mean, we are able to process tickets and transactions way quicker than most any other platform that's ever been created in this space. We also, like I said, when you asked how is this going to be adopted and how is this going to become a big thing, I told you that it was ticketing. Having access to being able to do small events. I mean, we're a musical act ourselves. All our friends are musical acts. Everyone knows this is a problem. We're connected very deeply to other artists, as well as the companies that have the ability to make this happen. So yeah, it's about we have superior tech, and we have the network to make it happen. And that's not going to say like it's going to be a absolute battle. We're trying to change we're trying to fix an error that's been in the music business for decades. It's going to take a long time, and we're going to have to do a lot of convincing on the artist side, the fan, the promoter side, and the fan side to get them to start getting to realize that this should be the new normal of the way that they purchase tickets.
Nice. What types of Bitcoin blockchain companies are you looking to work with and invest in?
Milan, start?
Yeah, totally. So I think we did say that on the panel earlier. But we want to invest in companies. First of all, from a founder's standpoint, we want to invest in someone that is building a problem that they have identified themselves and that solves a problem that they are facing all the time. So we don't want to invest in founders that are just there for the money. That's what I'm trying to say. And then from a subsector perspective, I think tipping is huge, as Drew said earlier. I think micropayments, that's already happening, right? We see it with Bitcoin Lightning. I think that's great. If you look at other subsectors that tie in the consumer, I think that's very important for us, because we want to, generally speaking, we invest in companies where we can add significant value, right? So like what Drew has explained, how they're approaching adoption with YellowHeart, we want to be able as a fund to leverage our network that we have collectively for our companies that we invest in. So it's a really broad mandate, but I think especially in the Bitcoin and blockchain space, I think right now we're looking at an application layer, and we're looking at companies that are solving UX, UI issues that are currently existing.
Just time for one more question. I'll throw it out there. So talk about scalpers. I feel like scalpers have probably been a part of event ticketing since like the Colosseum and gladiators were fighting, right? Like, I mean, it's always been there. I mean, it's hard to picture a world where they're fully eliminated. And I know that even if the tech does work, it'd be a long way out. I mean, but have you thought about sort of the whole sort of scalper industrial complex that exists today, kind of, and what their response will be if YellowHeart does take off?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a great job. I mean, you got to give them credit where credit's due. Like, no matter what kind of systems were put in place to prevent scalping from happening, they've always found a way. Especially recently, it feels like more than ever, with huge issues with YouTube concerts, with black keys. Like methods were put in place to literally prevent just the scalpers, and somehow they found a way. And and this isn't to say that the secondary ticket market won't exist, but what we want to add transparency to it, and I think that's the key word here. If your ticket is purchased by someone who plans on just reselling it, the artist can set the limit for what that value is. So it's just giving control to the people that should have control. And I'm sure they won't be a fan of that to some degree, but it's not eliminating their industry. It's just adding transparency between the parties involved.
Right. Like there's now, once a ticket goes on the blockchain, I mean, you can watch the history of where that ticket's been. You can control how many times it's resold. You can control if it's resold for this much value. You can direct which a portion of the proceeds go to. If it goes to the artist, it goes back to the promoter. If it goes to charity, that's a whole nother layer of ways that like tickets will be sold and resold. So I feel like that's the first thing to really focus on, the benefits that the YellowHeart adds, which is control. There's way more control than what exists in the current like ticketing processes. But like you said, I mean, scalpers also sell out shows, which promoters like. So we had to come up with a solution that benefited the promoter as well, to show them that like, this is better for you, this is better for your venues. It's going to give you customer information that you do not have now. And it's going to give you control of what happens in the resale market, which you do not have now. So we were very conscious of the fact that, we needed to create a service that would benefit them, not just, make it try to eliminate something that does technically help them sell out shows. So that's where our head's at.
We'll have to leave it there. Well, thanks guys for swinging by our virtual show and tell us all about what you're up to. Thanks all. Thanks for joining us with this Ask Them Anything with Alex-pall and Drew-Taggart of the Chainsmokers and Milan Koch, managing partner at Mantis. The segment's over, but we're far from done here at Consensus Distributed. It is a 100% virtual conference that runs all week long. So come on back for sessions about the latest innovations, analysis of big events like the Bitcoin halving, and lots